Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? One minute you're meticulously planning your future, the next you're caught in a storm you never saw brewing. My name is Smith, and this is my story. A story of unexpected accusations, shattered trust, and secrets that had been lurking in the shadows for far too long. It's a story that, looking back, feels like a twisted drama. The kind you'd watch unfold on a screen, never imagining you'd be the one living it. Before I delve into the heart of this rather unbelievable chapter of my life, if you find yourself intrigued by tales of family secrets, resilience, and unexpected turns, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up and ring that notification bell. Trust me, you wouldn't want to miss the rest of this roller coaster. And hey, who knows what other crazy stories life might throw my way that I'll end up sharing here? It's like subscribing to my personal soap opera, but hopefully with a bit more redemptive arc. My decision to move to another state for university was a big one. Leaving mom back in our small town wasn't easy, but the academic opportunities were too good to pass up. What made the transition a little less daunting was knowing that my elder brother, Robert, lived in the same city with his family. His wife, Priscilla, and their 3 kids, Anna, who was 14, Brian, 10, and little Lily, just 7. Now, Robert and I have always had a strong bond. He's the kind of brother who's always had my back, a solid presence in my life. Priscilla, on the other hand, well, our relationship was a tad more complicated. There was always a subtle undercurrent of something, a certain coolness in her demeanor towards me that I could never quite decipher. It wasn't outright hostility, more like a guarded distance. Because of this, my initial plan was to stay in a university hostel. I valued my independence and honestly wanted to avoid any potential friction. So, when I told Robert I was moving to his city, the first thing he asked was about my accommodation. "Where are you planning to stay?" he'd inquired, his voice laced with brotherly concern. "Oh, I was looking at the university hostels," I replied casually, trying to downplay any hint of apprehension about staying with them. Robert's reaction was immediate and a little theatrical. "You've got to be kidding me. Smith, you're coming all the way here to study, and you want to live in some cramped hostel when I have a perfectly good house with plenty of space? Don't be ridiculous." I chuckled, trying to stick to my initial plan. "I just don't want to impose, Rob. You have your own family, your own routine. I wouldn't want to be a burden." He waved his hand dismissively, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Burden? Since when did your own brother's house become a place of burden? My kids will be ecstatic to have their Uncle Smith around. Seriously, don't even think about it. You're staying with us." End of story. Despite my reservations about Priscilla, Robert's genuine enthusiasm was hard to resist. And honestly, the thought of having family around in a new city was comforting. So after a few more assurances from Robert, I agreed. The first few weeks were surprisingly pleasant. Robert and I fell back into our old brotherly dynamic with ease. His kids were a joy: Anna, the thoughtful teenager; Brian, the energetic middle child; and Lily, the sweet, inquisitive youngest. I found myself enjoying their company, playing games, helping with homework, and running errands for Priscilla and Robert. I'd pick up groceries, help with extra chores around the house, anything to make myself feel less like an intruder and more like a contributing member of the household. Robert was great. He was always appreciative, always making me feel welcome. But Priscilla, her initial polite welcome seemed to gradually erode. There were subtle signs, a sigh here, a curt response there. She'd sometimes make little comments to Robert, within earshot, but not directly to me, about how quiet Smith's study needed or how perhaps a hostel would offer more personal space for a serious student like me. She'd frame it as a concern for my well-being, but the underlying message was clear. She wanted me gone. Robert, bless his heart, would usually just nod and say, "Okay, honey," but he never actually brought it up with me again. He seemed oblivious, or perhaps chose to ignore her subtle hints. I, on the other hand, felt the growing tension, a silent wedge being driven between us. Then came that fateful Friday evening. Priscilla had mentioned earlier in the week that she was taking the kids to her parents' place for the weekend, something she used to do quite regularly before I moved in. A pattern that had inexplicably stopped since my arrival. This time she followed through. The house felt strangely quiet after she left with the children. Robert and I spent a relaxed evening catching up, ordered some takeout, and watched a game on TV. He headed out to his regular Friday night soccer match at a nearby stadium, inviting me along. I declined, wanting to catch up on some reading. He said we wouldn't be too late, so I followed him to the stadium. A couple of hours later, we returned in Robert's car, pulled into the driveway. We stepped out of this car, then I look at Robert. He looked a little sweaty, but clearly in good spirits after the game. We were walking up towards the porch of the house, and there we saw Priscilla standing at the door, her face filled with rage as she shouted, "Robert! Don't you dare let that monster brother of yours step inside this house." Robert and I both froze, a look of utter disbelief on his face. Priscilla was standing there, her eyes blazing with an anger I had never witnessed before. She continued her tirade, her voice rising with each word. "I just found out what this imbecile has been doing. This Smith has been harassing and molesting my daughter, Anna." Robert's whisper was barely audible. "Calm down, Priscilla. Please, let's go inside. The neighbors." He trailed off, glancing at the houses around us, knowing full well that the quiet suburban evening had just been shattered. "No!" she shrieked, her voice cracking with what seemed like genuine fury. "It's high time everyone knows what kind of a person your brother really is. This monster." I stood there, rooted to the spot, my mind reeling. Harassing Anna? Molesting her? The words felt like physical blows, each one stealing the air from my lungs. I tried to speak, to deny the outrageous accusation, but my throat felt constricted. "Hold on, P," I managed, using the nickname I occasionally called her. "What are you saying? Do you even know what you're saying? Who told you?" She cut me off, her voice dripping with venom. "Don't you dare try to play innocent with me. Don't you dare pretend you don't know what you've done to my daughter. You will leave this house immediately. If you weren't my husband's brother, I would have called the police already. You disgust me." Robert finally found his voice, though it was strained and filled with disbelief. How could this happen? "Priscilla, I can't believe this. Let's just go inside, please. This is insane." They moved inside, Priscilla practically dragging a bewildered Robert with her. I followed, my legs feeling like lead. Even before we stepped into the house, I could see curtains twitching in the neighboring windows. The quiet street was now buzzing with unspoken speculation. Inside, Priscilla was already in the hallway, pointing at a couple of hastily packed bags that I vaguely recognized as mine. "Pack your things," she spat, her eyes filled with a cold fury. "And leave. Now." Robert looked from Priscilla to me, his face a mask of confusion and anguish. "Where's Anna?" "I need to hear this from Anna." I can't believe any of this. You think I'm lying?" Priscilla's voice rose again, laced with hysteria. "How could you even ask that? Do you have any idea how difficult it was for her to even tell me? She's terrified." "Robert!" She said it's happened multiple times. That he would sneak into their room at night and do those things. She was afraid to say anything because he threatened her. He told her he would hurt her if she told anyone. The scene felt surreal, like a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Robert was visibly struggling, torn between the woman he loved and the brother he had always trusted. The weight of the accusations hung heavy in the air, suffocating any attempt at rational thought. In the midst of this chaos, I somehow managed to find a sliver of composure. "All right, P," I said, my voice surprisingly calm despite the turmoil inside me. "If you want me to leave, I'll go. But remember this, the truth, whatever it is, always comes to light." I picked up my bags, the cheap nylon feeling rough against my trembling hands. As I walked out of the house, I could feel the weight of the neighbors' stares, their murmurs following me like a dark cloud. The accusations had painted me as something monstrous, and in that moment, I felt utterly alone and helpless. My friend Ashley was a bright, level-headed girl I'd met in one of my university orientation sessions. I pulled out my phone, my hands shaking slightly as I scrolled through my contacts and found her number. Swallowing my pride, I hit dial. "Hey, Ashley, it's Smith." "Hey." "What's up?" Her voice was cheerful, a stark contrast to the turmoil I was experiencing. "Listen, I was wondering if you could tell me the process for getting a hostel room, like, immediately." There was a brief pause on the other end. "Immediately? Everything okay?" I hesitated. I didn't want to burden her with the horrifying accusations, not over the phone. Yeah, everything's fine. I just, My brother and his family went out of town for a short trip, and I'm all alone in the house, and I can't stay alone in a big house like this. My explanation sounded weak even to my own ears. She said, a hint of skepticism in her tone. Well, usually there's a waiting list, but I can definitely check for you. It might take a few days, though. A few days felt like an eternity. I had nowhere to go. The thought of spending even one more night in a cheap motel felt unbearable. I didn't want to sound desperate, so I tried to keep my tone light. Right, a few days. Okay. Ashley must have sensed something was amiss. Hey, look, if you need a place to crash in the meantime, you can totally stay at my place. I'm living alone right now, and I've got a spare room. It's no problem at all. My initial instinct was to decline. Staying at a single girl's apartment, especially given the circumstances, felt complicated. But the reality of my situation hit me hard. I had nowhere else to go. Ashley, I don't know what to say. Thank you. That's incredibly kind of you. Don't even worry about it, she said warmly. Come on over. I'll order some pizza. Ashley's kindness that night was a lifeline. Her apartment was small but cozy, and her easygoing nature helped to momentarily distract me from the storm raging inside. Yet sleep eluded me. Every time I closed my eyes, the image of Priscilla's accusatory face and the weight of her words would flood my mind. I tossed and turned, replaying the scene over and over, trying to make sense of something that felt utterly senseless. The next morning, while Ashley was out running errands, I quietly slipped out and resumed my search for a hostel. As grateful as I was for her hospitality, the idea of staying with her long-term felt wrong. The rumors swirling around my sudden departure from my brother's house were bound to reach her eventually, and I didn't want to put her in an awkward position or risk her reputation. Plus, the unspoken discomfort of a first-time experience living under the same roof as a girl alone weighed heavily on me. Luck, it seemed, was finally on my side. I managed to secure a small room in a hostel not too far from the university. They told me I could move in as soon as I paid the first month's rent. Relief washed over me. I had a safe, albeit temporary, place to go. That evening, I received a call from Ashley. Her tone was serious, lacking the usual lightheartedness. Smith, I need to see you. Now. I didn't ask any questions. A knot of apprehension tightened in my stomach. I knew somehow that the facade I had tried to maintain had crumbled. I met her at the entrance of her apartment building. She stood there, her arms crossed, a look of disappointment in her eyes. Why did you lie to me? She asked, her voice low but firm. Lie to you? About what? I feigned ignorance, but my heart was pounding. You said your brother was out of town, that's why you needed a hostel. The truth is, they threw you out, didn't they? 'Cause you harassed your niece. Her words hit me like a physical blow. How could she know? The shame and humiliation washed over me again. You thought I wouldn't find out? She continued, her gaze unwavering. News like this travels fast, Smith. People talk. I opened my mouth to explain, to vehemently deny the accusations, but she held up a hand, cutting me off. I'm sorry, Smith. You seemed like a nice guy, and I trusted you. But hearing this, and the fact that your own brother kicked you out, I feel unsafe. I can't have you staying here anymore. I hope you understand. Maybe it's all a misunderstanding. But what would my friends and family think? Her words stung, but I couldn't blame her. The accusations were serious, and the circumstances did look incredibly damning. I understand completely, Ashley, I said, my voice heavy with resignation. It's hard to explain, and I would never want to make you uncomfortable. Thank you truly for letting me stay last night. It meant a lot. If you'll just let me get my things. But where are you going to go? She asked, a flicker of concern in her eyes. I actually got a room at a hostel this morning, I replied. I was going to tell you, but then this happened. Oh, she said softly. Well, in that case, let me at least drive you there. The drive to the hostel was silent and strained. When we arrived, she helped me carry my bags to my small, bare room. The reality of my situation sank in, falsely accused, ostracized, and starting over in a new, impersonal space. As I began to unpack my meager belongings, my phone rang. It was Mom. Her voice was filled with concern. Smith? What's going on? I heard some things. The dam finally broke. Mom, I choked out, the words tumbling out in a rush of pain and desperation. I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do any of it. There was a moment of silence on the other end, and then Mom's calm, steady voice filled my ear. I know you didn't, sweetheart. I know my son. We'll get to the bottom of this. No, Mom, I said quickly, fear gripping me. Please, no. We don't need to talk about it anymore. It'll just bring more disgrace to our family, and especially to Anna. Even in my own turmoil, my heart ached for my niece, caught in the middle of this horrific situation. Meanwhile, back at Robert's house, Anna and her siblings returned home, their weekend with their grandparents over. Anna, noticing the absence of my familiar presence, immediately asked her father, Daddy, where did Uncle Smith go? His room is empty. Did he leave without saying goodbye? Robert, his face etched with a mixture of guilt and confusion, hesitated. Honey, I need to ask you something. Before he could continue, Priscilla interjected smoothly, Oh, Anna, your Uncle Smith got some urgent news about a trip for his university department. He had to leave in a hurry. She shot Robert a sharp look, silently warning him not to contradict her. Then, in a low whisper, she added, It's not appropriate to talk about what happened with Anna right now, considering what she went through. Robert remained silent, his gaze fixed on his daughter. Anna looked at him, her brow furrowed. Really? He didn't even say goodbye? Yes, honey, really, Robert said, trying to sound convincing. He wanted to, but it was very urgent, so I told him to go ahead, and I'd say goodbye for him. Anna seemed unconvinced, but let it go for the moment. Fine, she said with a shrug. But I'm not letting him get away without saying goodbye next time. She skipped off to the backyard to join her siblings. As soon as Anna was out of earshot, she saw her neighbors whispering amongst themselves, their gazes lingering on her with a strange mixture of pity and something else she couldn't quite decipher. It made her uneasy. She walked over to Mary, a friend from the neighborhood, who was standing near the fence. Hey, Mary, what's going on? Anna asked, feeling a growing sense of unease. Mary's expression was sympathetic. Oh, Anna, I'm so sorry about what happened. I always thought your uncle was a nice person. It's awful what he did to you. Anna's confusion deepened. What are you talking about? You know, Mary said, her voice hushed. About your uncle harassing you. That's why he left, right? Wait a minute, Anna exclaimed, her voice rising in disbelief. My uncle, what? Are you crazy? Mary looked bewildered by Anna's reaction. But your parents, they sent him away because he... She stammered, unsure how to proceed given Anna's apparent ignorance. Give me a minute, Anna said, her mind racing. Something was terribly wrong. She turned and ran back into the house, bursting through the door. Her mother was sitting on the couch, a forced, strained expression on her face, while Robert was getting a glass of water from the fridge, looking troubled. What on God's green earth is happening here? Anna demanded, her voice trembling with anger and confusion. Robert looked startled. Hey, slow down, Anna. What's wrong? I'm asking you, Mom, Anna cried, her gaze fixed on Priscilla. How could you accuse Uncle Smith of such a disgusting thing? And with me? Robert's eyes widened in shock. What? Wait a minute, honey. Are you saying Smith didn't do what your mother... Before he could finish his question, Anna blurted out, No! Of course he didn't. Uncle Smith has always been nothing but kind and respectful to us. You're the one who's always been weird around him, Mom. You never wanted him here because of your Mystery Weekend's doctor's adventure got... Priscilla's face paled. She rushed towards Anna, grabbing her arm. Stop talking nonsense. You're just scared. Don't listen to his lies, Anna. He won't hurt you anymore. She tried to pull Anna towards her room. Robert stepped forward, gently but firmly pulling Anna away from Priscilla. Let her speak. Priscilla. Anna, her voice shaking but determined, said, Mom brings someone to the house on weekends when Dad goes to play soccer. I've seen them in your bedroom, doing things. Her voice trailed off, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She said he was a doctor, checking on her. That's why they weren't wearing clothes. Robert stared at Priscilla, his face slowly turning ashen. Priscilla sank onto the couch, her face buried in her hands. Anna continued, her voice gaining strength. It happened a lot, Dad. Then, she started taking us to Grandpa's house every weekend because she wanted the house to be empty so that they wouldn't get disturbed. But when Uncle Smith came to live with us, the doctor stopped coming and Mom got angry. She stopped taking us to Grandpa's until last night. Tears streamed down Anna's face as she looked at her mother. I hate you. Mom! Robert turned to Priscilla, his eyes filled with a pain that cut me to the core, even though I wasn't there to witness it. How could Anna make up something like that? She's just a child. Priscilla looked up, her eyes red and swollen with tears. My dear Robert, my love, it was a long time ago. It was a mistake, my dear. I swear it stopped. I was going to tell you. You're lying, Anna interrupted, her voice filled with righteous anger. You never stopped. I saw him last week, Mom. When you dropped us off at school, he was waiting down the street. You picked him up after we went inside. I saw you from the classroom window. The truth hung heavy in the air, a toxic cloud suffocating the remnants of their seemingly happy family life. Everything unraveled in that single devastating moment. Robert, his face a mask of shock and betrayal, immediately called me. His voice was thick with emotion, filled with apologies that tumbled out in a rush. He told me everything Anna had revealed, the lies, the deception. He didn't need to say he believed me. His tone spoke volumes. He then told me he had asked Priscilla to leave and go to her parents' home. The immediate aftermath was a blur of phone calls and tearful conversations. Robert, desperate to understand the depth of the betrayal, arranged for DNA tests for Anna, Brian, and Lily. The results confirmed his worst fears. Anna was his only biological child. His world crumbled. He filed for divorce shortly after. Back in my small hostel room, the phone call with Robert was both vindicating and heartbreaking. Knowing the truth was out was a huge relief, but the pain my brother was going through was immense. A few days later, Ashley found me. She looked contrite, her eyes filled with genuine remorse. Smith, I heard. I'm so incredibly sorry. I should have believed you. I managed a weak smile. Hey, you were just looking out for yourself. I understand. Besides, I added with a chuckle, trying to lighten the mood, you did let me crash at your place. So, technically, I still owe you one. Oh, shut up, she said, playfully punching my arm. Over the following months, Ashley and I grew closer. The shared experience, the initial misunderstanding, and the subsequent relief of the truth coming out created a bond between us that went beyond mere friendship. Time has a way of healing, though the scars remain. I focused on my studies, throwing myself into my coursework. Ashley was a constant source of support, her friendship a beacon in a somewhat tumultuous period. Robert, though deeply hurt, started the slow process of rebuilding his life. It was tough, navigating the complexities of co-parenting. Anna while processing the lies he had lived with for so long. Fast forward a few years. I graduated with honors, a testament to my resilience and determination. And somewhere along the way, Ashley and I fell in love. Our relationship blossomed organically, built on trust and a shared understanding. We got married in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by close friends and family. Mom was there, beaming with pride. Robert was there too, a little subdued but genuinely happy for me. He had started dating someone new, a kind and genuine woman, but was taking things slow, understandably cautious about opening his heart again fully. Life, as it often does, had taken a completely unexpected turn. The false accusations that had threatened to destroy me had ultimately unveiled a much deeper and more painful secret, one that had shattered my brother's marriage and family. Yet, through the darkness, a new path had emerged for me, one filled with love, truth, and a future I could never have predicted. Looking back at that tumultuous period, it's clear that life can be incredibly unpredictable. We face accusations, betrayals, and moments that test our very core. But it's in those moments that our true strength is revealed. What I learned from this experience is that the truth, no matter how long it takes, has a way of surfacing. And while the pain of false accusations and the unraveling of family secrets is immense, it doesn't have to define your future. If you've ever faced unfair accusations or navigated difficult family situations, know that you're not alone. It's crucial to hold on to your truth and to find support in unexpected places. Sometimes the most challenging experiences can pave the way for unexpected blessings and new beginnings. Don't let adversity break you. Instead, let it be the catalyst for growth and resilience. Now, if you've enjoyed this rather dramatic slice of my life, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more, hopefully less dramatic stories in the future. And seriously, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on whatever life throws my way next. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a comedy next time. And finally, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced anything similar? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can learn from each other and encourage those who might be going through tough times. Remember, even in the darkest of storms, there's always a possibility of finding a new dawn.